TIFU when I found out I may have ruined someone's life during my own unaliving attempt. The unaliving attempt happened 3 years ago. I was at a really low point in my life, where I needed to be medicated but refused. I had had an argument with my parents that night at dinner and stormed out with nothing on me. Not even my phone. I must have walked for at least 3 hours because the police officers told me I was on the side of County Road 8. I must remind you all that I was not in the right headspace. So I don't know what came over me. In the distance on the road I remembering hearing sirens before I blacked out. What I've been told that happened was a traffic cop was on his way to an accident just north of me. On that road, the dash cam footage showed me within seconds throwing my body onto his car. Completely unexpected. It was honestly quite horrific to watch. He hit me hard. I was in the hospital for 9 months recovering physically and mentally from the experience. I moved back in with my family after and things started to get back to normal and I was taking my meds. I'm currently working part-time and am in a program at my community college. Today I had to go pick up my meds from the hospital. I saw the officer standing at the check-in desk. She approached me after and said she recognized me. I did too. She was one of the officers who explained to me what happened when I woke up. We got to chatting and that's when I found out the officer involved in my accident was still here. He apparently had a breakdown after hitting me. He couldn't hold his weapon anymore, let alone drive. He became paranoid and anxious until it started affecting his social life too. His fiancée left him, and he was becoming someone no one knew. One day, he was admitted by some coworkers, and he's been here since. I'm home now, but the weight of the guilt has been weighing on me for the last 4 hours and I don't know what to do. I can't live like this knowing I ruined a man's life. Please help. TLDR. The officer that accidentally hit me during my unaliving attempt had a mental breakdown after hitting me with his car. He's in the hospital for mental issues 3 years later and I may have ruined his life. Help. In no way, shape, or form should you be asking this sub for help. You've shown you're willing. Get off Reddit and actually sit down and talk to someone about this. I'm assuming that you have a psychologist? If not, you should start there so you can discuss the scenario with them and see if there is a solution you can find. If anything, they can help maneuver you through the guilt and how to process it. A lot of people are quick to point fingers and say you're in the wrong. The thing is, I'm sure if you could go back in time and take it back, you would. What's done is done. Sometimes, when people act on their emotions, they aren't entirely there, and as you had said, blackout. A mistake was made, but you are trying to do the right thing by taking your meds and go to school. The best thing you can do right now is to continue taking care of yourself and not going back down the route of harming yourself. I saw some suggestions about seeing if you can contact the officer. Please only do this if the therapist gives a go-ahead first and helps you get the correct consent from required parties. You want to make sure that contacting him is going to be beneficial to him and not harmful to him. The last thing to add is this, and I don't mean this to come off rude and anything, but genuinely, do you want to talk to him to help him or to help you? What outcome do you expect to happen? This is what you also need to discuss with your therapist. I think it's awesome that you've come so far and are doing well. Keep going. This is way above Reddit's pay grade. You might end up taking the worst advice for yourself and the officer. Seek professional help. Did you think of talking to someone about this? Seek help. Stay strong. You should try talking to the officer in question too, as he may think it is his fault and guilt-tripping himself. Can't have both of you guilt-tripping over this. Unaliving yourself may seem as the easiest choice out everything, but you leave a huge price behind. which is due payment. Take it as a life lesson. Nothing is free in life. And so is the choice of stepping out of it. If you are not the one paying, there's always someone else paying for it. The reality is someone else's life was damaged by that act. No different than someone laying down on railroad tracks. It affects the engineers as well. Call it collateral damage. Could you try to visit the officer to thank him? Thank him for his service. Thank him for everything he did for you. He basically played a part in getting you the help that you needed. Reminds me of an old friend I used to have. My fiance and I met him on an online game. And one day he kinda broke down suddenly and we had to really work to get it out of him what was wrong. He told us a story of how he and his wife were driving to get dinner one night. Think this was a year prior to us meeting him. And happened to drive under a bridge. As they were passing through the other side, a woman leapt from the bridge and went through their windshield. He didn't want to share much more after that. Just that she did not survive and they have struggled immensely since that happened. I'll never forget him saying, "She chose to involve us." Just the tone of his voice. He was really hurting. I don't think that "may have" is necessary in this instance. You unequivocally ruined his career and marriage. This isn't right to be asking or talking about on TIFU or anywhere on Reddit. See a psychiatrist. Do not speak to that officer. To be blunt, you did ruin his life. And it is not his responsibility to listen to you just because you feel guilty about it. Actions have consequences, and this is your lesson to take away from the situation. Imagine if you had died that day instead? Food for thought. It's called suicide. Don't sugarcoat it. Please go talk to a therapist. This isn't a TIFU. This is real-life trauma. WTF is unaliving. Dude, just say suicide attempt. Too much TikTok has rotted your brain. Op. You can speak to the receiving staff at that facility. Tell them that you know that they cannot confirm anything about any of their patients, but that you were told by one of his coworkers that the officer that you jumped in front of as a suicide attempt is present, and that he may not know that you are alive and okay. You can hand them a letter for his care team to review and determine if it is beneficial for him to read or know about. Don't expect closure on this. The laws surrounding patient privacy are strict, and it's very unlikely that you will hear back. Unless the care team believes it's beneficial to pass along the message and the officer himself wants to speak to you and will waive his privacy to do so. I understand that you were in a very rough place and appreciate your desire to make it right. But his journey is his own. It is scenarios like this that give fuel to the side who say suicide is selfish. Oh my gosh. It seems like a major privacy breach for that information to be given to you. And to share that information with you specifically, considering the circumstances, is wildly inappropriate. You shouldn't be in this position right now. I'm really feeling for you. Op. Like you said, when this happened you weren't in your right mind. You spent months recovering, and it sounds like you've put in a lot of hard work to get your life back on track. Also, cops deal with a lot of stuff and have a lot of training and support for trauma. No doubt, their current situation isn't the result of this single incident alone. Even though, yes, it's pretty heavy. What are you studying? It's called suicide attempt. This nightmare is the sole reason I'm still alive most days. The fear that in ending my own life, I might very directly ruin someone else's. I'm so sorry to you and everyone involved. I'm praying for you. Is suicide like a bad word now or something?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.